The morning sun cast long shadows across the abandoned streets of downtown Chicago as Maya Rodriguez crouched behind an overturned delivery truck, her breath forming small clouds in the crisp October air. 3 weeks had passed since the outbreak began, and the once bustling metropolis had transformed into a nightmarish landscape of broken glass, abandoned vehicles, and the constant threat of the undead. Maya adjusted her grip on the modified baseball bat she'd crafted from salvaged materials, its surface wrapped in barbed wire and reinforced with metal strips. The former CrossFit trainer had never imagined her strength and endurance would become the difference between life and death, but the apocalypse had a way of reshaping everyone's priorities. Across the street, she could see movement in the shadows of what used to be a popular coffee shop. The distinctive shuffling gait and guttural moans confirmed her worst fears. A small horde of zombies had detected something, possibly other survivors. Maya's radio crackled softly with static before a familiar voice broke through. "Maya, this is Jessica. I've got eyes on at least 15 of them moving toward the old library on 5th Street. There might be people trapped inside." Jessica Thompson, a former Marine sniper, had become Maya's most trusted ally in this new world. Her military training and steady aim had saved their group countless times, and her ability to remain calm under pressure made her an invaluable leader. Maya pressed the radio button and whispered back, "Copy that, Jess. I'm 2 blocks south of your position. Can you get a clear shot from where you are?" The response came quickly. "Negative. Too many civilians in the area, and I can't risk hitting innocents. We need to get closer and create a distraction." Maya nodded to herself, already formulating a plan. She'd learned that zombies were drawn to sound and movement, but they were also surprisingly predictable in their behavior patterns. If she could create enough noise to draw them away from the library, Jessica could pick them off one by one from her elevated position. The sound of breaking glass echoed from a nearby alley, followed by a woman's scream. Maya's heart raced as she recognized the voice. It was Dr. Amanda Foster, the brilliant epidemiologist who had been working tirelessly to understand the virus that had caused this outbreak. Amanda's research was crucial to finding a cure, and losing her would be devastating to any hope of returning the world to normal. Maya made a split-second decision and sprinted toward the alley, her athletic training allowing her to move swiftly and silently across the debris-strewn pavement. As she rounded the corner, Maya saw Amanda backed against a brick wall, facing 3 zombies that had cornered her. The doctor clutched a briefcase to her chest, undoubtedly containing vital research data, while trying to fend off the approaching undead with a broken piece of rebar. Maya didn't hesitate. She charged forward with a battle cry that would have made her old gym members proud, swinging her modified bat with precision and power. The first zombie's head exploded in a shower of dark fluid as the barbed wire made contact, while the second stumbled backward from the force of her follow-through swing. "Amanda, get behind me!" Maya shouted as she positioned herself between the doctor and the remaining threats. The third zombie, a former businessman still wearing the tattered remains of an expensive suit, lunged forward with surprising speed. Maya sidestepped the attack and brought her bat down in a devastating overhead strike that sent the creature crashing to the ground. She quickly finished it off with a precise blow to the skull, then turned to check on Amanda. "Are you hurt?" Maya asked, scanning the doctor for any signs of injury. Amanda shook her head, still clutching her briefcase tightly. "I'm fine, thanks to you. But Maya, I've made a breakthrough. The samples I collected from the university lab show that the virus has a weakness. It can't survive in temperatures above 140 degrees Fahrenheit for more than 30 minutes. If we could find a way to raise the core body temperature of infected individuals, we might be able to reverse the process." Before Maya could respond, Jessica's voice crackled through the radio again. "Maya, we've got a problem. A massive horde is moving in from the north. At least 50 zombies, maybe more. They're heading straight for the library, and there are definitely survivors inside. We need to move now if we're going to help them." Maya looked at Amanda, who nodded grimly. "My research can wait. Those people need our help." The 2 women quickly made their way through the maze of abandoned cars and debris, using Maya's knowledge of the city's layout to find the safest route to the library. As they moved, Maya couldn't help but think about how much their world had changed. Just a month ago, she had been worried about helping clients achieve their fitness goals and planning her weekend social activities. Now, every decision could mean the difference between life and death, not just for herself but for the growing community of survivors who had come to depend on each other. The library came into view as they crested a small hill, and Maya's heart sank at what she saw. The building was completely surrounded by zombies, their decaying hands pressed against the windows and doors as they tried to reach the people trapped inside. Through the glass, she could see frightened faces peering out, including what appeared to be several children. The situation was worse than Jessica had initially reported, and Maya realized they would need more than just the three of them to mount an effective rescue operation. The sound of shattering glass pierced the air as one of the library's ground floor windows finally gave way under the relentless pressure of grasping zombie hands. Maya watched in horror as the undead began pouring through the opening like water through a broken dam, their hungry moans growing louder as they sensed fresh prey within reach. Without hesitation, she grabbed Amanda's arm and pulled her toward a maintenance shed behind the building, knowing they needed a better vantage point to assess the situation and coordinate with Jessica. From their new position, Maya could see the full scope of the crisis unfolding before them. The library's main entrance was completely blocked by a writhing mass of zombies, while smaller groups had begun circling the building like predators sensing wounded prey. Through the upper floor windows, she could make out at least a dozen survivors, including what appeared to be a mother holding a small child. The sight filled Maya with a fierce determination that reminded her of the protective instincts she'd developed during her years training vulnerable clients who had been bullied or threatened. Jessica's voice came through the radio with urgent precision. "Maya, I count 63 hostiles surrounding the building, with more arriving from the east. The survivors have barricaded themselves on the second floor, but those barriers won't hold for long once the zombies reach them. I'm setting up on the roof of the bank across the street. I'll have clear shots at the main cluster, but I need you to create a diversion to draw them away from the building." Maya studied the terrain around the library, her mind racing through possible strategies. Years of obstacle course training and urban fitness challenges had taught her to see the environment as a series of opportunities rather than barriers. The parking lot contained several abandoned vehicles that could provide cover and noise, while a construction site next door offered potential weapons and materials. Most importantly, she noticed a fire hydrant near the street that could be used to create the kind of chaos that would confuse and scatter the zombie horde. "Amanda, I need you to stay here and maintain radio contact with Jessica," Maya instructed, checking her equipment one final time. "If something goes wrong, you two need to get that research to the other survivors at the hospital. Promise me." Amanda nodded solemnly, understanding the weight of the moment. "What are you planning to do?" she asked, though the determined look in Maya's eyes already provided part of the answer. Maya pointed toward the construction site. "I'm going to give those zombies something they can't ignore. A target that's loud, fast, and just out of reach. Once I draw them away from the library, Jessica can start picking them off while the survivors make their escape through the back exit." She paused, then added with a grim smile, "Besides, I've always been better at running toward danger than away from it." Moving with the stealth and agility that had made her one of the city's most sought-after personal trainers, Maya made her way to the construction site. The area was littered with useful materials: lengths of rebar, bags of concrete mix, and most importantly, a small generator that still had fuel in its tank. She quickly formulated a plan that would have impressed her old military fitness clients, combining noise, movement, and strategic positioning to maximum effect. The generator roared to life on the third pull, its mechanical growl immediately attracting the attention of nearby zombies. Maya had positioned it near a pile of metal scaffolding, ensuring that the sound would echo and amplify throughout the area. As the first zombies began shambling toward the noise, she grabbed a piece of rebar and began striking it against a metal beam in a rhythmic pattern that carried across the entire block. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Zombies began peeling away from the library like iron filings drawn to a magnet, their primitive brains unable to resist the combination of sound and movement that Maya was creating. She waited until roughly half the horde had committed to pursuing her before making her next move, sprinting toward a nearby pickup truck and leaping onto its hood with the grace of a parkour athlete. From her elevated position, Maya could see Jessica's muzzle flashes as the former Marine began systematically eliminating zombies with precise headshots. Each shot dropped one of the creatures instantly, but Maya knew that even Jessica's exceptional marksmanship couldn't handle the entire horde alone. She needed to keep the zombies moving and confused, preventing them from regrouping or returning to the library. Maya jumped from vehicle to vehicle, using her superior agility and fitness to stay just ahead of the grasping hands below. The zombies followed her movements with single-minded determination, stumbling over each other in their eagerness to reach her. She led them in a wide circle around the parking lot, occasionally stopping to bang on car hoods or shout taunts that kept their attention focused on her rather than the library behind them. Through her earpiece, she could hear Jessica providing updates on the rescue operation. First group of survivors is moving toward the back exit now. Keep those zombies busy for another 2 minutes, Maya. The strain in Jessica's voice was evident. Even with her military training, the pressure of protecting innocent lives while coordinating a complex rescue operation was taking its toll. Maya's muscles burned from the constant movement and adrenaline, but she pushed through the fatigue with the same mental toughness that had helped her complete ultramarathons and endurance competitions. Each leap between vehicles required perfect timing and balance, while the growing number of zombies below made every landing more dangerous than the last. She could feel her heart pounding against her ribs, but her breathing remained controlled and steady, a testament to years of cardiovascular conditioning that was now literally keeping her alive. As she prepared for another jump, Maya noticed something that made her blood run cold. A new group of zombies was approaching from the south, drawn by the commotion she had created. These weren't the slow, shambling creatures she had been dealing with. They moved with a disturbing coordination and speed that suggested they were recently turned. Among them, she could make out what appeared to be former athletes and military personnel, their enhanced physical capabilities making them far more dangerous than typical zombies. The approaching group of enhanced zombies moved with a terrifying fluidity that sent chills down Maya's spine. Unlike the shambling masses she had been successfully evading, these creatures retained muscle memory from their former lives, allowing them to navigate obstacles and coordinate their movements in ways that defied everything she thought she knew about the undead. A former football player still wearing his team jersey led the pack, his massive frame moving with surprising agility as he vaulted over abandoned cars with ease. Maya's radio crackled with Jessica's urgent voice. "Maya, I'm seeing movement from multiple directions now. Whatever you stirred up has attracted every zombie within a 5-mile radius. The survivors are almost clear, but we've got maybe 90 seconds before this whole area becomes completely overrun." The sniper's usually calm demeanor carried an edge of concern that Maya had never heard before, and she knew the situation was deteriorating rapidly. From her perch atop a delivery van, Maya watched as the enhanced zombies began working together to surround her position. The former football player was directing others with guttural sounds and gestures, while a zombie wearing the remains of a police uniform was attempting to climb the vehicle next to hers. Their retained intelligence made them exponentially more dangerous, and Maya realized her hit-and-run tactics would no longer be sufficient to keep them at bay. "Amanda, are the survivors clear?" Maya called into her radio while scanning for an escape route. The response came immediately. "Last group just exited the building, but Maya, you need to get out of there now. Those things are learning from your movements, and they're setting up what looks like an ambush." Dr. Foster's scientific mind had quickly grasped the implications of the zombies' coordinated behavior, and her warning carried the weight of someone who understood the virus better than anyone. Maya spotted her opportunity as a city bus blocked her view of the eastern approach. If she could reach the vehicle and get it started, she might be able to create enough chaos to scatter both the regular zombies and their enhanced counterparts. The bus was only 30 feet away, but the space between her current position and the vehicle was crawling with undead creatures that seemed to anticipate her every move. Taking a deep breath, Maya launched herself from the van toward a nearby streetlight, using her upper body strength to swing around the pole and change direction mid-flight. The maneuver caught the zombies off guard, buying her precious seconds as they struggled to adjust their pursuit. She landed hard on the roof of a sedan, rolled to absorb the impact, and immediately sprinted toward the bus while the enhanced zombies reorganized their attack. The bus door was partially open, and Maya slipped inside just as the former police officer zombie reached the vehicle. She slammed the door shut and quickly assessed the interior, relieved to find the keys still dangling from the ignition. The engine turned over on the second try, and Maya felt a surge of hope as the massive vehicle rumbled to life beneath her. Through the windshield, she could see the enhanced zombies positioning themselves strategically around the bus, while the regular undead continued their mindless assault on the windows and doors. The former football player had climbed onto the hood and was systematically punching through the reinforced glass with methodical precision. Maya realized she had perhaps 30 seconds before they breached the vehicle's defenses. She threw the bus into reverse and floored the accelerator, sending zombies flying in all directions as the heavy vehicle plowed through their ranks. The enhanced zombies were quick enough to leap clear, but the impact scattered the regular horde and created the opening Maya desperately needed. She spun the wheel hard to the left and shifted into drive, using the bus's momentum to clear a path through the remaining clusters of undead. Jessica's voice came through the radio with barely contained relief. All survivors are secure and moving toward the rendezvous point. Maya, you need to abandon that bus and get to higher ground. I'm tracking at least 200 zombies converging on your position from all directions. The sniper had maintained her overwatch position throughout the rescue, and her tactical assessment painted a grim picture of Maya's chances if she remained at street level. Maya drove the bus toward the construction site where she had started her diversion, knowing that the partially completed building would provide multiple escape routes and defensive positions. As she approached the structure, she could see zombies emerging from every side street and alley, drawn by the noise and commotion like moths to a flame. The enhanced zombies had somehow managed to get ahead of her, and she spotted them positioning themselves near the building's entrance. The bus crashed through the construction site's temporary fencing with a tremendous impact that sent tools and materials flying in all directions. Maya aimed for a concrete support pillar and braced herself for impact, knowing that the collision would disable the vehicle but also create enough noise and destruction to confuse the pursuing horde. The crash was spectacular, with the bus's front end crumpling against the immovable concrete while its rear lifted off the ground from the force of the impact. Maya kicked out the emergency exit window and rolled clear of the wreckage just as the first zombies reached the crash site. Her body ached from the collision, but her conditioning and training had prepared her for exactly this type of physical trauma. She grabbed a length of rebar from the scattered construction materials and began fighting her way toward a ladder that led to the building's upper levels. The enhanced zombies had anticipated her move and were already climbing toward the same objective, their retained motor skills allowing them to navigate the construction equipment with disturbing efficiency. Maya found herself in a race against creatures that combined human intelligence with inhuman hunger, and she knew that reaching higher ground was her only chance of survival. Behind her, the regular zombies were beginning to swarm over the crashed bus, their numbers growing by the second as more arrived from throughout the city. As she reached the ladder, Maya felt a cold hand grab her ankle. She looked down to see the former police officer zombie attempting to pull her back down, its decaying face twisted into an expression of malevolent intelligence that chilled her to the bone. With a desperate surge of adrenaline, she swung the rebar downward, connecting with the creature's skull and sending it tumbling back into the crowd below. Maya hauled herself up the ladder with burning muscles, each rung bringing her closer to temporary safety but also higher above the growing sea of undead below. The construction site's third floor offered a panoramic view of the chaos she had unleashed, with zombies streaming in from every direction like a dark tide converging on her position. From this vantage point, she could see the true scope of the outbreak spread. Entire city blocks were now crawling with the infected, and smoke rose from dozens of fires throughout the metropolitan area. Her radio crackled with a new voice, one she hadn't heard before. "This is Captain Lisa Martinez with the National Guard. We're monitoring emergency frequencies and tracked your rescue operation. Maya Rodriguez, if you can hear this, we have a helicopter inbound to your location, but you need to get to the roof of that building in the next 4 minutes." The military officer's voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to life-or-death situations, and Maya felt a surge of hope mixed with determination. Jessica's voice immediately followed. "Maya, I can see the chopper approaching from the northwest. It's a Black Hawk, but they're taking heavy fire from infected on surrounding rooftops. You need to signal them somehow. They won't be able to land if they can't identify your exact position." The sniper's tactical assessment was punctuated by the distant sound of rotor blades cutting through the air, growing steadily louder as the aircraft approached the construction site. Maya looked around the partially completed floor, searching for anything that could serve as a signal device. The construction workers had left behind several emergency flares in a metal toolbox, along with a battery-powered spotlight that still held a charge. She grabbed both items and began climbing toward the building's highest accessible point, a crane platform that extended well above the surrounding structures. The enhanced zombies had not given up their pursuit, and Maya could hear them climbing the internal scaffolding with methodical persistence. Their coordination was becoming more sophisticated by the minute, with some creatures creating human ladders while others searched for alternative routes to reach her position. The former football player had somehow managed to reach the second floor and was now directing other enhanced zombies toward weak points in the building's temporary barriers. As Maya reached the crane platform, she could see the Black Hawk helicopter circling the area while its door gunners engaged zombies on nearby rooftops. The aircraft was taking sporadic fire from infected military personnel who had retained enough motor function to operate weapons, making the pilot's job exponentially more dangerous. Maya ignited the first flare and began waving it in wide arcs above her head, the brilliant red light cutting through the afternoon haze. Captain Martinez's voice came through the radio again. "We have visual on your signal, Maya. Be advised, we're seeing enhanced infected with retained combat training throughout the area. Our extraction window is limited to 60 seconds once we touch down. Any longer and we risk being overwhelmed." The helicopter began its descent toward the crane platform, its rotor wash creating a whirlwind of debris that scattered across the construction site below. Maya secured the spotlight to the platform's railing and aimed its beam toward the approaching aircraft, creating a makeshift landing beacon that would help guide the pilot through the increasingly dangerous airspace. As the helicopter drew closer, she could see the faces of the crew through the cockpit windows. Professional soldiers who had undoubtedly seen their share of combat, but whose expressions revealed the strain of operating in this new nightmare landscape. The sound of metal groaning under stress drew Maya's attention back to the building below. The enhanced zombies had found the crane's base and were systematically dismantling its support structure with tools they had scavenged from the construction site. Their intelligence was evolving rapidly, allowing them to understand cause and effect in ways that made them far more dangerous than simple predators. Maya realized she had perhaps 2 minutes before the entire platform became unstable. Jessica's voice cut through the radio chatter with urgent precision. "Maya, you've got enhanced infected climbing the exterior of the building. They're using construction equipment to reach your level, and they'll be on the platform in less than 90 seconds. The sniper had maintained her overwatch position throughout the extraction, but even her exceptional marksmanship couldn't eliminate every threat in time to guarantee Maya's safety. The Black Hawk was now hovering directly above the platform, its crew chief lowering a rescue harness while the door gunners provided covering fire against zombies on adjacent buildings. Maya could feel the crane swaying under the helicopter's rotor wash, and she knew the structure wouldn't remain stable much longer. She clipped herself into the harness just as the first enhanced zombie reached the platform's edge. The creature was a former construction worker who still wore his hard hat and tool belt, and he moved across the swaying platform with the confidence of someone who had spent years working at dangerous heights. Maya kicked at his grasping hands while the helicopter crew began winching her upward, but the zombie's retained muscle memory allowed him to grab onto the rescue cable itself. Captain Martinez's voice boomed over the aircraft's external speakers. "All personnel, prepare for emergency extraction. We're taking the platform down with us if necessary." Maya looked down to see the zombie climbing the cable toward her with mechanical determination, its dead eyes fixed on her with predatory focus. She reached for her modified baseball bat, knowing she would have only one chance to prevent the creature from reaching the helicopter. The swing connected with devastating force, sending the enhanced zombie plummeting back toward the platform just as the crane's support structure finally gave way. Maya watched in fascination and horror as the entire assembly collapsed in slow motion, taking dozens of zombies with it as it crashed into the construction site below. The impact created a massive cloud of dust and debris that temporarily obscured the area, buying the helicopter crew precious seconds to complete the extraction. As Maya was pulled into the aircraft's cabin, she could see the full extent of the zombie infestation spreading across the city like a cancer. Entire neighborhoods had gone dark, while others showed signs of desperate last stands by groups of survivors. The helicopter banked sharply to avoid a flock of infected birds. Apparently the virus could jump species under certain conditions, and headed toward what appeared to be a fortified position on the outskirts of the metropolitan area. Captain Martinez turned from the co-pilot's seat to address Maya directly. "Dr. Foster and your sniper friend are already at our base camp, along with the survivors you rescued from the library. But Maya, what you've accomplished today is just the beginning. We've identified several other survivor enclaves throughout the region, and they're all going to need the kind of tactical expertise you've demonstrated. Are you willing to help us coordinate additional rescue operations?" Maya looked back at the burning city below, thinking about all the people still trapped in that nightmare landscape. Her body ached from the day's exertions, and she knew the challenges ahead would make today's mission seem simple by comparison. But as she considered the faces of the children they had saved from the library, her answer came without hesitation. The helicopter touched down at a fortified compound that had once been a state university campus, its academic buildings now transformed into a military command center bristling with defensive positions and communication equipment. Maya could see survivors of all ages moving between the structures with purposeful efficiency, their faces bearing the hardened expressions of people who had learned to adapt quickly to an impossible situation. As she disembarked from the Black Hawk, she was immediately struck by the organized nature of the operation. This wasn't just a refugee camp, but a genuine resistance movement. Dr. Amanda Foster rushed forward to greet Maya, her relief evident as she embraced her rescuer. "Maya, thank God you made it out. I've been analyzing the samples we collected, and the situation is worse than we initially thought. The virus isn't just reanimating the dead, it's actively evolving, creating different classes of infected with varying capabilities. Those enhanced zombies you encountered represent just the beginning of what we're facing." Amanda's scientific excitement was tempered by the gravity of her discoveries, and Maya could see the weight of responsibility in the doctor's eyes. Jessica Thompson approached from a nearby communications tent, her sniper rifle still slung across her shoulder and her tactical gear showing signs of recent combat. "Maya, while you were being extracted, we intercepted radio chatter from other survivor groups across the region. There's a community of about 200 people holed up in a shopping mall 30 miles north of here, but they're reporting that the enhanced zombies are learning to use tools and coordinate complex attacks. We may be looking at a complete paradigm shift in how we approach zombie combat." Captain Martinez led the group toward the command center, where a large tactical map displayed the current known positions of survivor enclaves, zombie concentrations, and military assets throughout the tri-state area. Red markers indicated confirmed zombie hordes, while green markers showed friendly positions, and yellow markers represented areas of unknown status. The map painted a sobering picture of how quickly civilization had collapsed, with vast swaths of territory now under zombie control. "Ladies, what we're dealing with here goes beyond a simple outbreak," Captain Martinez began, pointing to clusters of red markers that seemed to be moving in coordinated patterns. "Our intelligence suggests that the enhanced zombies are not only retaining their pre-death skills but are also developing new capabilities through some form of collective learning. We've documented cases of infected individuals teaching other zombies how to operate vehicles, use weapons, and even set traps for survivors." Maya studied the map intently, her mind already working through the tactical implications of facing an enemy that could adapt and learn. "Captain, what kind of resources do we have available for rescue operations? If these enhanced zombies are as dangerous as you're suggesting, we're going to need more than just small teams and improvised weapons to extract survivors from heavily infested areas." Her question reflected the practical mindset that had made her such an effective trainer, always focusing on what was possible rather than what seemed impossible. A new voice joined the conversation as a tall woman in military fatigues approached the group. "I'm Colonel Sarah Williams, and I've been coordinating resistance efforts across multiple states. Maya, your actions today have given us valuable intelligence about enhanced zombie behavior, but more importantly, they've shown us that these creatures can be outmaneuvered by someone with the right combination of physical conditioning and tactical thinking." The colonel's bearing suggested extensive combat experience, and her direct manner reminded Maya of the most effective military clients she had trained. Colonel Williams gestured toward a section of the map showing a large metropolitan area to the east. "We've received a distress call from a group of survivors trapped in a hospital complex in that region. The facility is surrounded by what appears to be several hundred zombies, including a significant number of enhanced variants. Traditional military tactics have proven ineffective against these coordinated attacks, which is why we need someone who can think outside conventional parameters." Dr. Foster pulled out a tablet displaying her latest research findings. "Maya, I've been studying the enhanced zombies' behavior patterns, and I believe their coordination is based on some form of chemical communication, pheromones that allow them to share information and coordinate attacks. If we could disrupt this communication system, we might be able to reduce their effectiveness and create opportunities for rescue operations. Maya examined the data on Amanda's tablet, noting the complex molecular structures and behavioral charts that documented the zombies' evolving capabilities. So you're saying these things are essentially becoming a hive mind? That would explain why they seemed to anticipate my movements during the library rescue. But if they're communicating chemically, there might be ways to interfere with those signals or even use them against the zombies themselves. Jessica had been quietly studying the tactical map while the others discussed the scientific aspects of their situation. Maya, look at this pattern here, she said, pointing to a series of red markers that formed an almost perfect circle around a major population center. The enhanced zombies aren't just randomly wandering, they're systematically isolating survivor communities and cutting off escape routes. This suggests a level of strategic thinking that goes far beyond what we've seen from traditional zombies. The implications of Jessica's observation sent a chill through the group. If the enhanced zombies were capable of long-term strategic planning, then every survivor enclave was potentially under siege, even if they weren't currently under direct attack. Maya realized that their rescue operations would need to become increasingly sophisticated to stay ahead of an enemy that was learning and adapting with each encounter. Captain Martinez activated a large display screen that showed real-time satellite imagery of the hospital complex they had been discussing. The facility is a major medical center with multiple buildings connected by skyways and underground tunnels. Intelligence suggests there are approximately 50 survivors inside, including medical personnel whose expertise could be crucial to developing treatments for the virus. However, the zombie presence around the perimeter has been growing steadily, and we estimate they have less than 48 hours before the facility's defenses are completely overwhelmed. Maya studied the satellite images, noting the building layouts, potential entry and exit points, and the distribution of zombie forces around the complex. Her mind began formulating a rescue plan that would leverage the lessons learned from the library operation while accounting for the enhanced zombies' improved capabilities. Colonel, what kind of air support and heavy equipment do we have available? If we're going to extract 50 people from a heavily fortified position, we'll need more than just small arms and improvised tactics. Colonel Williams smiled grimly. Maya, you're about to meet some very special women who have been preparing for exactly this type of mission. Each of them brings unique skills that complement your tactical thinking and physical capabilities. Together, you'll form the most effective zombie fighting unit we've ever assembled. She gestured toward a group of women approaching from across the compound, each carrying specialized equipment and bearing the confident demeanor of seasoned professionals. The approaching women moved with the disciplined precision of elite operatives, each carrying equipment that spoke to specialized training and extensive combat experience. Maya watched as they formed a loose semicircle around the tactical display, their eyes immediately focusing on the satellite imagery of the hospital complex with the intensity of predators studying their prey. She could sense the competence radiating from each team member, and for the first time since the outbreak began, Maya felt genuinely optimistic about their chances of success. The first woman to step forward was a compact powerhouse with calloused hands and arms marked by old burn scars. I'm Rachel Martinez, demolitions expert and former EOD specialist. I've been studying the structural weaknesses of buildings under zombie siege, and I can tell you that these enhanced variants are learning to exploit architectural vulnerabilities in ways that would impress a professional saboteur. Rachel's voice carried the matter-of-fact tone of someone who had spent years working with explosives in high-stress situations. Next came a tall, athletic woman whose movements suggested years of martial arts training. Lieutenant Commander Nicole Brooks, Navy SEAL and close quarters combat specialist. I've been developing new hand-to-hand techniques specifically designed for fighting enhanced zombies, taking into account their retained muscle memory and improved coordination. Nicole's assessment of the tactical situation was immediate and thorough, her eyes tracking potential approach routes and defensive positions on the satellite display. The third team member was a woman whose quiet demeanor masked an obvious intensity. Dr. Patricia Chen, biochemist and former CDC researcher. I've been working with Dr. Foster to develop chemical countermeasures against the zombie pheromone communication system. We've created several prototype compounds that could disrupt their coordination, but they need field testing under combat conditions. Patricia's scientific background complemented Amanda's research perfectly, and Maya could see the potential for breakthrough discoveries in their collaboration. Colonel Williams gestured toward the final team member, a woman whose bearing suggested extensive leadership experience. Major Jennifer Walsh, Army Rangers and Tactical Coordination Specialist. She's been developing new protocols for multi-team operations in zombie-infested urban environments, with particular emphasis on extraction missions involving large numbers of civilians. Jennifer's immediate focus on the hospital layout demonstrated her ability to process complex tactical information quickly and efficiently. Maya felt a surge of confidence as she studied her new teammates. Each woman brought skills that would be essential for the hospital rescue, and their obvious competence suggested they had been carefully selected for this specific mission. Ladies, I'm impressed by your credentials, but I need to know how you've adapted your training for fighting enemies that can learn and evolve. The enhanced zombies we're facing aren't just stronger and faster. They're getting smarter with each encounter. Rachel pulled out a tablet displaying structural diagrams of the hospital complex. Maya, I've been analyzing zombie attack patterns against fortified positions, and they're showing remarkable innovation in their assault techniques. They're using debris as tools, creating human ladders to reach elevated positions, and even setting fires to force survivors into predetermined kill zones. My demolitions expertise will be crucial for creating escape routes and eliminating zombie concentrations. Nicole demonstrated a series of combat moves that looked unlike any martial arts Maya had seen before. The enhanced zombies retain muscle memory from their previous lives, which means traditional fighting techniques are often ineffective against former athletes or military personnel. I've developed a combat system that exploits the limitations of their reanimated physiology while accounting for their retained skills and coordination. Dr. Patricia Chen activated a portable chemical analysis device and began explaining her research findings. Maya, we've discovered that the zombie pheromone system operates on multiple frequency bands, allowing them to communicate different types of information simultaneously. Basic hunger signals, threat warnings, and tactical coordination all use distinct chemical signatures. If we can jam or redirect these signals, we can turn their communication system into a weapon against them. Major Walsh spread out detailed floor plans of the hospital complex, marking potential entry points, evacuation routes, and defensive positions. The facility has been under siege for 6 days, and the survivors have been forced to retreat to the upper floors as zombie pressure increased. They've managed to maintain radio contact, but their ammunition is running low and their food supplies are nearly exhausted. We have a narrow window for extraction before the situation becomes completely untenable. Maya studied the tactical information while considering how to integrate each team member's expertise into a cohesive rescue plan. Jennifer, what's the current zombie distribution around the hospital perimeter? Are we looking at random clustering or organized positioning? The question reflected Maya's growing understanding of enhanced zombie behavior and her recognition that their enemy was becoming increasingly sophisticated. Major Walsh highlighted several areas on the satellite imagery where zombie concentrations appeared to be strategically positioned. Maya, the enhanced zombies have established what can only be described as a siege perimeter. They've blocked all ground-level exits, positioned sentries at elevated observation points, and created mobile response teams that can quickly reinforce any area where survivors attempt to break out. It's textbook military siege tactics adapted for zombie capabilities. The implications of Jennifer's assessment were sobering. If the enhanced zombies were capable of conducting organized siege warfare, then every survivor enclave was potentially facing a coordinated military campaign rather than random zombie attacks. Maya realized that their rescue operations would need to evolve into genuine military missions with all the complexity and risk that entailed. Dr. Foster joined the group with updated intelligence from her ongoing research. Maya, I've been monitoring radio communications from the hospital, and the survivors are reporting that the enhanced zombies are using psychological warfare tactics. They're making coordinated noise at night to prevent sleep, positioning themselves where survivors can see them during the day to create constant stress, and even using the bodies of fallen defenders to demoralize the remaining survivors. The revelation that enhanced zombies were employing psychological warfare added another layer of complexity to an already challenging situation. Maya looked around at her new team members, seeing determination mixed with concern in their expressions. Ladies, it sounds like we're not just fighting zombies anymore. We're fighting an enemy that's learning military tactics and adapting them for their own purposes. That means our rescue mission needs to be planned and executed with the same level of sophistication they're showing. Colonel Williams activated the main display screen to show real-time drone footage of the hospital complex. Maya, your team has 18 hours to plan and execute this rescue operation. After that, we expect the hospital's defenses to be completely overwhelmed, and the survivors will be lost. The enhanced zombies are learning faster than we anticipated, and every day we delay gives them more time to develop new tactics and capabilities. The pre-dawn darkness provided perfect cover as Maya's team moved through the abandoned industrial district that bordered the hospital complex, their specialized equipment distributed among them according to each member's expertise. Rachel carried her demolitions gear in a reinforced backpack, while Nicole's close-quarters combat weapons were secured in quick-access holsters designed for rapid deployment. Dr. Patricia Chen's chemical countermeasures were contained in pressurized dispensers that could be activated remotely, and Major Walsh's tactical coordination equipment included advanced communication systems and real-time battlefield mapping technology. Maya had spent the previous 12 hours studying every detail of the hospital layout, memorizing floor plans, emergency protocols, and structural weak points that could be exploited during the extraction. The building's design presented both opportunities and challenges. Multiple floors connected by stairwells and elevators provided numerous escape routes, but the same vertical structure that offered protection also created potential death traps if zombies gained access to the upper levels. Through her night vision goggles, Maya could see the enhanced zombie sentries positioned around the hospital perimeter with military precision. Unlike the random wandering of traditional zombies, these creatures maintained disciplined watch positions and rotated their assignments according to a schedule that suggested sophisticated organizational capabilities. Jennifer, are you seeing the same patrol patterns I'm tracking? Maya whispered into her radio, knowing that accurate intelligence would be crucial for timing their approach. Major Walsh's response came immediately through their encrypted communication channel. Confirmed, Maya. The enhanced zombies are running 4-hour watch rotations with overlapping fields of observation. They've also established quick reaction teams at 3 strategic positions that can respond to any breach attempt within 90 seconds. We're looking at military-grade perimeter security adapted for zombie capabilities. Dr. Chen activated her chemical analysis equipment and began monitoring the pheromone signatures emanating from the zombie positions. Maya, I'm detecting complex communication patterns that suggest they're sharing detailed information about our approach routes. The chemical signals are much more sophisticated than anything we've previously documented. They're essentially running a real-time intelligence network using biological communication methods. The revelation that enhanced zombies were conducting active surveillance using chemical communication added another layer of complexity to their infiltration plan. Maya realized they would need to approach the hospital using methods that wouldn't trigger the zombies' biological early warning system. Patricia, can your countermeasures disrupt their pheromone network without alerting them to our presence? Dr. Chen made final adjustments to her chemical dispensers before responding. Maya, I've developed a compound that mimics their natural pheromone signatures while gradually introducing interference patterns. It should create enough confusion in their communication network to mask our approach, but the effect will only last about 20 minutes before they adapt to the new chemical environment. Rachel had been studying the hospital's structural supports through thermal imaging equipment that revealed the building's internal framework. Maya, I've identified several load-bearing walls that we can breach to create new evacuation routes. The enhanced zombies have obviously studied the building's existing exits, but they won't be expecting us to create entirely new openings in unexpected locations. Nicole positioned herself at the team's forward observation post, her enhanced combat training allowing her to assess the zombies' defensive capabilities with professional precision. Maya, the enhanced zombies are showing coordination that goes beyond anything in our previous intelligence reports. They're using hand signals to communicate when pheromone communication might be intercepted, and they've established backup positions for every primary defensive location. Maya absorbed the tactical information while finalizing their approach strategy. The enhanced zombies' sophisticated defensive measures required a multi-pronged assault that would overwhelm their ability to coordinate an effective response. Ladies, we're going to hit them with simultaneous attacks on 3 different fronts. Patricia will deploy her chemical countermeasures to disrupt their communication network, Rachel will create diversionary explosions to draw their attention away from our primary infiltration route, and Nicole will lead a direct assault on their main defensive position. Major Walsh activated her battlefield coordination system and began tracking the positions of all team members in real time. Maya, I'm establishing overwatch positions that will allow me to coordinate our movements and provide tactical support throughout the operation. The hospital survivors have been instructed to prepare for immediate evacuation once we breach their perimeter. The team moved into position with the synchronized precision of elite operatives, each member understanding her role in the complex operation that was about to unfold. Maya felt the familiar surge of adrenaline that preceded high-stakes physical challenges, but this time the consequences of failure extended far beyond personal achievement. 50 innocent lives depended on their ability to outthink and outfight an enemy that was learning and adapting with each encounter. Dr. Chen initiated the chemical countermeasure deployment, releasing invisible clouds of pheromone disruptors that began interfering with the zombies' biological communication network. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Enhanced zombies throughout the perimeter began showing signs of confusion and disorientation as their chemical coordination system experienced systematic interference. Rachel triggered the first diversionary explosion on the hospital's eastern perimeter, sending a massive fireball into the night sky that immediately drew the attention of every zombie in the area. The blast was carefully calculated to create maximum visual and auditory impact while avoiding structural damage to the hospital itself, and the enhanced zombies responded exactly as predicted by rushing toward the apparent threat. Nicole launched her assault on the main zombie defensive position with devastating efficiency, her specialized combat techniques proving highly effective against enemies that retained muscle memory from their previous lives. Each strike was precisely targeted to exploit the limitations of reanimated physiology while accounting for the zombies' retained coordination and strength. Maya led the primary infiltration team toward the hospital's main entrance, using the chaos created by her teammates to approach the building undetected. The enhanced zombies' sophisticated defensive network had been disrupted by the simultaneous attacks, creating exactly the kind of opening they needed to reach the trapped survivors. As they breached the hospital's outer perimeter, Maya could hear the sounds of combat echoing from multiple directions as her team engaged zombie forces throughout the complex. The operation was unfolding according to plan, but she knew that the enhanced zombies would adapt quickly to their tactics and begin mounting an organized counterattack. Through the hospital's shattered windows, Maya could see the faces of survivors watching their approach with desperate hope. The rescue operation had begun, but the most dangerous phase still lay ahead as they attempted to extract 50 people from a building surrounded by hundreds of enhanced zombies that were learning to fight back with increasing sophistication. The hospital's main lobby had been transformed into a makeshift fortress, with overturned gurneys and medical equipment creating defensive barriers that spoke to the survivors' desperate ingenuity. Maya's team moved through the debris-strewn corridors with tactical precision, their footsteps muffled by the thick layer of dust and broken glass that covered every surface. The building's emergency lighting cast eerie shadows that danced across walls marked by bullet holes and claw marks, creating an atmosphere that reminded Maya of the most challenging obstacle courses she had ever designed. Dr. Foster's voice crackled through Maya's earpiece with urgent updates from the command center. Maya, satellite imagery shows enhanced zombie reinforcements converging on the hospital from all directions. You have approximately 12 minutes before they establish a new perimeter that will make extraction impossible. The survivors are gathered on the 7th floor, but the stairwells are compromised and the elevators are non-functional. Maya assessed their options while her team continued advancing through the hospital's maze-like interior. The building's vertical structure presented unique challenges that required creative solutions, and she could hear the sounds of enhanced zombies regrouping outside as they adapted to the team's diversionary tactics. Rachel, can you create a controlled demolition that opens a direct route to the 7th floor without compromising the building's structural integrity? Rachel was already studying the hospital's architectural plans on her tactical display. Maya, I can breach the exterior wall on the 6th floor and create a rope access point that bypasses the compromised stairwells. The explosion will be precisely shaped to avoid damaging the floor above, but we'll need to move fast once the breach is created because it will definitely attract zombie attention. Nicole had taken point position and was systematically clearing each corridor of zombie threats, her specialized combat techniques proving devastatingly effective against the enhanced variants they encountered. Maya, The zombies inside the building are showing coordinated retreat patterns that suggest they're trying to funnel us toward predetermined ambush points. They're learning from our tactics faster than we anticipated. The revelation that enhanced zombies were capable of tactical retreats and ambush strategies represented a fundamental shift in zombie behavior that had profound implications for all future operations. Maya realized they were no longer fighting mindless predators but genuine military opponents who could adapt and counter their strategies in real time. Dr. Chen's chemical countermeasures continued disrupting the zombies' pheromone communication network, but she was detecting signs that the creatures were developing resistance to her interference compounds. Maya, their biological communication system is more adaptable than we predicted. They're beginning to filter out my disruption signals and establish new communication protocols. We have maybe 5 minutes before they regain full coordination. Major Walsh coordinated the team's movements from her overwatch position while monitoring enhanced zombie response patterns throughout the hospital complex. Maya, I'm tracking systematic zombie movements that suggest they're implementing a containment strategy. They're not trying to stop us from reaching the survivors. They're planning to trap us all together and eliminate everyone simultaneously. The tactical implications of Jennifer's assessment sent a chill through Maya's team. If the enhanced zombies were sophisticated enough to implement containment strategies, then their rescue operation might be walking directly into an elaborate trap designed to eliminate both the rescue team and the survivors they were trying to save. Maya made a split-second decision that drew on her years of experience in high-pressure situations. Change of plans, ladies. We're not going to the 7th floor. We're bringing the survivors to us. Rachel, I need you to create multiple breach points that will allow the survivors to rappel directly to ground level. Nicole, establish a defensive perimeter around our extraction point. Patricia, deploy every chemical countermeasure you have to create maximum confusion in their communication network. The team executed Maya's revised plan with the fluid coordination of professionals who had trained extensively together. Rachel's precisely placed charges created 3 separate breach points in the hospital's exterior wall, while Nicole's defensive positions provided overlapping fields of fire that could repel zombie attacks from multiple directions. Dr. Chen's chemical weapons created a cloud of pheromone interference that temporarily blinded the enhanced zombies' biological communication network. Through the newly created openings, Maya could see the survivors beginning their descent from the 7th floor using emergency rappelling equipment that the hospital staff had improvised from medical supplies and maintenance materials. The sight of children being lowered to safety filled her with determination, while the exhausted faces of the adult survivors reminded her of why these rescue operations were so crucial to maintaining hope in their new world. The enhanced zombies' response to the team's tactics was swift and sophisticated, with coordinated attacks beginning simultaneously from 3 different directions. Maya found herself fighting creatures that moved with the precision of trained soldiers while retaining the relentless hunger that made them so terrifying. Her modified baseball bat connected with zombie skulls in a rhythm that reminded her of the most intense workout sessions she had ever conducted. Colonel Williams' voice came through the radio with updates from the command center. Maya, we have Black Hawks inbound for extraction, but the enhanced zombies are showing anti-aircraft awareness that we've never seen before. They're positioning themselves to interfere with helicopter operations, which suggests they understand the tactical significance of air support. As the last survivors reached ground level, Maya's team began their fighting withdrawal toward the designated extraction point. The enhanced zombies had adapted to their tactics with frightening speed, implementing countermeasures that demonstrated genuine military thinking. Maya realized that their enemy was no longer just learning individual skills but was developing institutional knowledge that could be passed between different zombie groups. The extraction helicopters arrived just as enhanced zombie reinforcements completed their encirclement of the hospital complex. Maya watched her teammates and the rescued survivors board the aircraft while she provided covering fire against zombies that moved with coordination that would have impressed professional military units. As she climbed aboard the final helicopter, Maya looked back at the hospital complex and saw enhanced zombies already beginning to analyze their tactics for future encounters. During the flight back to base, Maya studied the faces of the people they had rescued and felt a profound sense of accomplishment mixed with sobering awareness of the challenges ahead. The enhanced zombies were evolving faster than anyone had predicted, developing capabilities that threatened to make traditional rescue operations impossible. But as she looked at the children they had saved and the medical personnel whose expertise would be crucial for developing treatments, Maya knew that their fight was far from over. Dr. Foster's research had provided them with new weapons against the zombie threat, while Maya's team had proven that enhanced zombies could be defeated through superior tactics and coordination. The war for humanity's survival was entering a new phase, one that would require every ounce of courage, intelligence, and determination that survivors like Maya could muster. As the helicopter carried them toward safety, Maya was already planning their next mission, knowing that somewhere in the darkness below, other survivors were waiting for rescue and hope in a world that had been forever changed.